The patch notes for Battlefield 5's final content update 7.0, or the summer update as it's being called, are here, and they make for extremely good reading if you're a fan of Battlefield 5. There's a ton of new content in this update, and DICE appears to be removing all barriers to just let players get at the content right away. Unfortunately, there will be no trailer released this week for the update. You might have noticed on Monday, when it was supposed to go live, it didn't go live, and that's because there are conversations happening around the world right now, and EA and DICE didn't feel it was the right time to be drawing attention to something else. The trailer might come out in the future, it's not been confirmed yet. The update was locked in, however, and it's rolling out tomorrow, June 4th, and I've got all the patch notes right here. Okay, so first of all, the new content. The rumours were almost completely true here. We have 2 new maps coming in the update, or 1 brand new map and 1 converted map, 10 new weapons, 5 new gadgets, 3 new grenades, and 6 new vehicles. And all of it is themed around US versus Germany. There's a lot to get through, so I'm going to get started. We'll go with the 2 maps to begin with. One thing we already knew about, and the other one we didn't know about, but it was rumoured, so we kind of did know about it. The one we knew about officially, known as Libya, that's been given its old name from the 5v5 days, Al Marj Encampment. The map has received a complete transformation to support 64 players, so it now has the ability to support Conquest and Breakthrough as different game modes, alongside the smaller ones, TDM and Squad Conquest. We have a couple of images of the map here that have been released along with the patch notes, and it's my understanding that this is a completely infantry-only map, and it supports a really good breakthrough experience if you like infantry-only combat, and you're a fan of the more chaotic moments that Battlefield 5 can offer. And then the second map is Provence, but converted to support 64 players. So there's a theme going here with both of the maps. This time, it takes the play area outside of the town into the farm fields beyond, which is an area that you can't get to currently in TDM or Squad Conquest. And it's actually what I suggested DICE should do quite a long time ago when these maps first came out. This map will also support Conquest and Breakthrough, as well as the previous TDM and Squad Conquest setups. And this map, Provence 64, it has been made large enough to support ground vehicle combat, including new vehicles that are coming in the update as well. Now, the icing on the cake for these 2 maps, if you can look at it that way, is that both of them are set up to be US versus Germany maps, making them the first 2 that Battlefield 5 has received in that setup. But the US versus Germany conversion doesn't stop there. Both Twisted Steel and Panzerstorm have also been converted to support US versus Germany on all game modes apart from ground operations, because that has some weird different structure, and I think they're trying to stick with the story of ground operations, so having the UK there makes sense. So when the patch goes live, both Twisted Steel and Panzerstorm on Conquest, Breakthrough, TDM and Squad Conquest, they will also switch over to US versus Germany, and I think this is to represent a shift forward in time. Now, in a small update coming in the near future, it's going to be a separate one, Al Sundan will also be switched over to US versus Germany, but it seems that this wasn't quite ready when the patch was submitted for certification, so there's even more US versus Germany coming in the near future. Honestly, from my point of view, this is perhaps the best outcome I could have hoped for on the map front for the final Battlefield 5 update. Having 2 maps go live on the same day, that puts it on par with the Pacific update from 2019, and that introduced Iwo Jima and Pacific Storm at the same time. Now, with both of these maps being US versus Germany, alongside 2 other maps being converted to that setup, and then a third one being converted in the future, it does seem pretty clear to me now that DICE was planning to move the game back to Western Europe for their next chapter, perhaps Chapter 7 or Chapter 8, but they didn't get the chance to finish all of that work, support was cancelled, and the team moved on to Battlefield 6. So this final summer update is kind of just what they were working towards and what they got done in that amount of time. Next, let's talk about the new weapons. We've spoken about all of these before, so I'll work through the list in a second, But the great news here is that for all of the new weapons, all the gadgets and the grenades and the vehicles, all of those will be given to all players right away. There will be no unlock requirements, no weekly assignment gating, no drip feed, no Tides of War. All of the content is going live right away as soon as the patch drops. All you have to do is install the update, log in, go into the armory, and then all of the items will be in your shipments tab, and you can just claim them all and start using them. Now, because of the way Battlefield 5 is built, I believe, after a couple of weeks, the items will disappear from the armory, and instead they will be in your company for unlock with company coin. But honestly, I expect 95% of people will get all of these new items from the armory on day one, and the 5% that are left, I'm assuming you've got hundreds of thousands of company coin that you can use to unlock the new items after the fact. It is interesting that DICE decided not to bother with the drip feed of content via Tides of War this time. Perhaps they just realised that it wasn't worth their time and effort to coordinate all of that, considering it was the last update for the game, and they've got more important things to work on, like Battlefield 6. They just sort of wanted to hand out everything in one go, or maybe it was just to go out with a bang and just let players have fun with all of that content that they'd worked on. But let me give you that weapons list. The Shogun shotgun is first, then we've got the Shoshar, the M3 infrared sniper carbine, the K31 43 bolt action rifle, the Wellgun SMG, the M1941 Johnson semi-automatic rifle, the PPK and PPK suppressed pistols, the M1911 suppressed pistol, and then the Wellrod pistol as well. That's 10 new weapons, all of which people will be able to use the moment they launch Battlefield 5 after the update. As I've said, all of these weapons we knew about via data mines for pretty much months now, and several of them were supposed to be earmarked for the Chapter 4 5v5 competitive mode that was supposed to drop last year. It might have taken nearly a year for those weapons to finally appear in the multiplayer when DICE said they were going to convert them, but they are finally here, and we can use them from tomorrow. A bunch of new weapon variety for Battlefield 5. Then there's new gadgets to talk about. Here again, we know all of them via data mines, but they now have been officially confirmed. The Doppelschuss flare pistol for the Recon class, that was supposed to come in Chapter 6, but it was broken, and so it didn't make it in. That gives players a double-barrel flare gun that can sticky flares onto environmental objects and vehicles. The RMN-50 grenade launcher for the Recon class, that uses a Mosin Nagant barrel, or stock, I think, one of the two, but that's a grenade launcher for the Recon. The pistol flamethrower for the Assault class, this is the Einstoss Flammenwerfer that we've spoken about before. The Shape Charge for the Support class, that's ported over from the single player, and the Kampfpistol for the Support class, which is an anti-personnel variant of the grenade pistol. And then there are new grenades as well. These are somewhat of a surprise addition. I didn't really expect DICE to add more of these in, but they have been mentioned in the data mines before. The Firecracker grenade, that seems to be some sort of decoy grenade or a confusion grenade, just to sort of add noise into the environment to distract people. The Demolition grenade, no explanation. Perhaps it's just a really big explosive that is more aimed at breaking down walls than it is destroying vehicles. And then the Type 99 mine, which is classified as a grenade rather than a gadget. So it'll be interesting to see what that one looks like. And then lastly, for new content, we need to speak about the vehicles, because there are 6 more of them. I've spoken all about them in my previous videos, but for the sake of covering everything officially, we'll go from here. The US forces, they'll be getting the A20 Bomber, the P-70 Night Fighter, the P-51D Mustang, the P-51K Mustang, and the M8 Greyhound. And all of these will be deployed on the 2 new maps, and I assume the other converted maps that will now be running US versus Germany. So that's Twisted Steel and Panzerstorm. The German faction, they get 1 new vehicle so they can catch up with all of the added stuff now for the US. They're getting the Sonderkraft Fahrzeug 234, or the Puma Armored Car as it will be known. Since the German faction already has most of the vehicles in the game from the first several chapters of Battlefield 5, DICE has decided to go ahead and make some changes to the specialization trees on the BF-109 planes so they can better compete with the 2 new P-51 Mustangs that come to the European US faction. And then one sort of little bonus feature, 14 new US soldiers have been added to the faction, and that gives players a bunch more soldiers to kit out for the European US versus Germany maps, alongside those already available for the Pacific. And the Japanese faction, they get 2 more soldiers as well, so you can use some of those extra cosmetics that are lying around spare to kit out 2 more soldiers. As I mentioned earlier, the update is going live tomorrow, June the 4th, but there won't be a trailer for this update going live, at least not right away. It might come at a later date to sort of publicly wrap up Battlefield 5 once and for all. Otherwise, this is the last content that Battlefield 5 is getting, and despite it not being anything like what we expected, we are at least ending Battlefield 5 with US versus Germany. It's just instead of fighting in the streets of Berlin, we're still in the fields of France and the sands of North Africa. It's not the ending that any of us really wanted, but I'm still excited for what could actually be Battlefield 5's biggest update, even though it's the last one. Thanks very much for watching this video. Stay tuned over the next couple of weeks for videos on all of this new content. I will likely be making a video on each of the new primary weapons, videos on the new maps as well, and maybe even some of the gadgets, if they turn out to be a bit memey. But thanks very much for watching this video. Leave me a rating and a comment, it is always appreciated. And I'll catch you all in the next one.